Hey, it's Mara. Last time I talked about getting a TAC, a transabdominal cerclage. So this is my update on that. I did go ahead and call Dr. McCoy out of Jacksonville. I tried Dr. Davis from Tennessee, and I still have not heard back. I called and emailed him. I'm not dissing him, I swear. It's just, like I read somewhere, if you're not getting the service you want, you just go elsewhere. And in this case, I needed a call a little sooner than what I was getting. So I decided to go elsewhere. I've heard some good stuff about Dr. McCoy, so I'm not nervous or any of that. But I'll just tell you about my consult with him and then tell you what's going on. So I met with him a couple days ago. And I took my husband with me because my husband is not on board. He's very nervous. I think just surgery in general, the word scares him. So especially involving his wife, he doesn't want his precious wife to be injured or harmed in any way. Nothing wrong with that. So he went with me so that we could ask questions, and my husband's very good at asking questions if he's curious about something. So he went too so that he could ask questions. So we met him, very nice, young guy. He's probably not much older than me or my husband. My husband's the older one, by the way. So he's a younger guy. He's maybe early 40s, if that. He may not even be that old. Real kind. I brought my big old thick records to him from what had happened with the babies. So I brought my hospital records and then my OB's records. And this way he could see, because my hospital records had just a few different things in it than my OB records did, even though they were all working together. So he read through all my records first, and he noted that, it's hard to tell if I'm a good candidate for the TAC, because it's hard to tell what happened. I never had any cervical checks, so there's no way to determine if I had a long cervix to start with and then it slowly shortened, or if it was always short. And even still, as I speak, we don't quite know what my cervix looks like, without a baby or without the pressure or without the shortening or any of that. So we don't know. We don't know what happened. He says when we have that information, then we can tell usually instantly that someone is a good candidate for the TAC. But we don't have that information on me. He said, however, minus the risks that come with the surgery, with any surgery, that is, and then the risks of getting pregnant and not being able to tell that I'm in labor, minus those risks, if I'm willing to take them, he's willing to let me have the surgery. In his words, he said, it'd be cruel of him to say you have to lose another baby before I'll give you the surgery. And I agree completely. I don't know how some doctors do it, and they do. Some doctors out there do. They say, you only had one loss. Sorry, you need to have more than one loss. I can't even say those words without laughing because it's just ridiculous. You need to have more than one baby die on you before I'll give you the surgery. That is not the way to practice medicine. I'm sorry. That is ridiculous. It's not right. Babies should not have to die. Period. So he said it would be cruel for him to say I had to do this all over again in order to be a candidate for the TAC. So he said, if I'm willing, he's willing, and I'm willing. The risk during pregnancy that we do need to worry about is if I ever get pregnant again. If I do, I'll have my TAC at least. You can't tell that I'm going in labor by looking at the cervix anymore. The TAC makes it so that cervix does not shorten or do the things that it would normally do. So other factors have to be looked at, and sometimes you're not getting a reliable information. Sometimes you just have to make a guess. Yes, it looks like she's in labor. Let's go ahead and do this. So because the TAC is in place, I won't be able to have a vaginal delivery. I'll have to have a C-section. And I'm okay with that. I never wanted to have a C-section with the twins. I knew it might happen, so I had accepted that. And this will be the same case. I know now that with a TAC, I would have to have a C-section, and I accept that because it's better than not having the TAC and just risk losing babies. I'd rather carry my babies full term, and a doctor has to cut them out to put them in my arms. I'm okay with that. It's a worthy sacrifice. So I have to have a C-section if I do get pregnant in order to get the babies out. If for some reason there's a miscarriage, like an early miscarriage in a pregnancy, it's not a big deal. You can still do a D&C or a D&E if need be. That's the ugly side of things. If unfortunately you do lose a pregnancy with a TAC, there are options. You can still get pregnant with a TAC, whether the natural way or if you do IVF or IUI, that's still a possibility. And in our case, it would definitely be an IVF, which I'll talk about at the end here. So yeah, I decided to go ahead and do it. My surgery will be in November, and I'll have a pre-op here probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then my surgery will be a little before Thanksgiving. I pushed to have the surgery before the end of the year because my insurance will pay for it all, 100%, maybe minus the surgery copay. But that is like pennies compared to paying for the entire surgery. The entire surgery could be like $15,000, $20,000, which I won't have to pay for because I've already met my deductible, my out-of-pocket, from giving birth to the babies and being in the hospital and all that. So I really wanted to have the surgery this year because I've met those deductibles, my out-of-pocket, etc., and I won't have to put any money towards it. Again, minus a surgery copay, which I think mine is like $200, $250, something like that. Again, that's pennies compared to paying for the whole surgery itself. Or even having to do any out-of-pocket. I mean, I don't even have to do that. So that's awesome. What else? Oh, I was going to show you the little diagram to show you what a TAC is. I made little colors on it, so hopefully you can see here. Okay, so the blue is where a normal transvaginal cerclage would go, and the doctor can reach that through through your vagina here. That's what I had when that was the emergency cerclage I had when I was in the hospital. It didn't work. My water broke anyways. So where it's kind of pinkish red here is where the TAC will be placed. So that's why he has to do it through an abdominal surgery because all of this area is inaccessible, from the vagina. So it's placed right up here, and it's kind of like a shoestring stitch, and it's tied. It's tied around, and I think there might be one stitch or two that's sewn in, but other than that, that's it. It's like a little knot tied around my cervix. So it makes it so that the cervix does not open or dilate or even shorten anyway, because the length, sorry, let me bring my picture up here. So this length here, it won't shorten. It'll just stay as is. It might funnel underneath the TAC, but never at the TAC or above. So it prevents incompetent cervix is what it does. So there's no, it's like a 95% chance of prevention. So there's still that 5% of things going terribly wrong. But in general, I can say there's no chance that incompetent cervix will be the reason why I lose my baby again. So I'm lucking out in that case. Other things can happen. I've now seen the dark side of pregnancy and all the bad things that can happen to people, and I now know way too well all the other things that could happen. but this surgery makes it so that that one thing at least does not happen. The one thing we know did happen during my pregnancy, that won't happen. The 95% chance that it won't happen. I'll probably still want progesterone shots during a pregnancy, and that will help with preterm labor. And that's another risk that I had during my pregnancy, is possible preterm labor. So it's hard to tell if I think I might have said this in a video a few back. It's hard to tell if incompetent cervix led to preterm labor or preterm labor led to incompetent cervix. So I'm going to do the two things, the TAC and the progesterone, to try to prevent both. Okay, so now about getting pregnant. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'll be honest. I mean, I just told you earlier that I'm doing the TAC surgery this year because it'll be free, but that doesn't mean anytime soon I'm going to get pregnant, or ever get pregnant again. So I guess I'll have the TAC in place just in case. I'd like to try to save for some IVF again. That's my goal. My husband is right now not really wanting to talk about it, and that's fine. I'm not gonna force anything on him. And he's okay with getting the surgery just in case, but he's not quite ready to talk about doing IVF again. We don't have the money for it, so it's, yeah. He does agree, though, that I am getting old. I'll be 34 this year, and that if I'm going to do something, it'd have to be soon, but he, in that same breath, is not ready to do anything. So I don't know when that's going to happen, if it ever does. Like I said, mainly I'm just doing this to be preventative and because it'll be free. And like I said, it'll just be there in case I need it. I want to use it. I want to try to have another baby. And it's not to replace my babies that I lost, because that's impossible. But I still want to be a mom, and I still think I might have a small window to give birth to my own child. That window is going to close, and then I won't have that option anymore. And I understand that. So for now, while my window is still open, that option is on the table. When that window closes, and if I still want to be a mom, which I assume I will be, then I will look at other options. But for now, I still have that option on my table, so I'm going to use it. If anybody has any questions about the TAC or anything I've talked about, definitely put them below. I'm happy to answer. Trying to think of what else I could give you right now. I feel like I haven't given you enough. Maybe I gave you too much. I don't know. Beyond all of the surgery and all that stuff, grief-wise, it seems like I'm doing well. My counselor is ready to graduate me, so I don't know if that's good or bad and scary or whatever, but she says I'm doing really, really good, and there's not much more she can do to help me. So I guess that's a good sign. I do little projects here and there to help with my grief. I've done some volunteering. I have another project that might be coming up that I'll be hopefully volunteering for. They're a little picky about who they pick for it, so I'm waiting to hear back if I was chosen. Let's see, what else have I done? I donated a little bit of money, not a lot, to little things here and there to help different organizations. One is called Calvin's Hats, and what you do is you can donate a couple things, and I'm not very good at crocheting or knitting. Sorry, there's something in my eye, that's why I keep blinking funny. So you can crochet or knit little hats for preemies or stillborn babies, but I'm not very good at it. I can do a lot of things, but that's not one of them. So instead I donated money to buy stamps, because they need stamps to send the hats out to people that need them. So I did that in my baby's name. I donated some, not very much money. We're talking like under $50 for both little projects. what is it? Oh, meals for the homeless for Thanksgiving in my baby's names. And I do that because I feel like it helps me get their names out for one thing. Not their last names, don't worry. But it gets their names out, and it helps me when I help others. So I feel like this is a good use of my time, and my donations are small. You know, if someone needs more money, then I try to volunteer instead because I have more of that to give than I do money. So I think those little projects are helping me with my grief, and obviously my counselor thinks so. So that's about it. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, if you have any questions about what I've talked about in the TAC and stuff like that, let me know. I'll try to answer as best I can. And I'll keep you updated as things happen in my pre-op and my surgery and all that. So, all right, have a good night.